As the world changes, former U.S. President Donald Trump has talked many times about pulling American troops out of Europe. He's especially mentioned removing them from Germany and even suggested leaving NATO altogether during his time as president. Now, Germany's possible future chancellor, Friedrich Merz, has warned that Trump might even break up NATO completely. So, the big question is, if the United States leaves NATO, can Europe defend itself? In today's video, we will talk about this in detail. If Trump goes through with his threat and America leaves Europe, who will take care of Europe's security? Let's go back to February 9, 1990, when a meeting was held in Moscow about the reunification of Germany. During that meeting, U.S. Secretary of State James Baker asked Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev to support Germany joining NATO. In return, America promised that NATO would not expand eastward past East Germany. But after the Soviet Union broke apart in 1991, America broke that promise and started expanding NATO into Eastern Europe. After the Cold War, America added 16 countries in Eastern Europe to NATO. It started in 1999 with the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland. Then, in 2004, NATO added countries like Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. In 2009, Albania and Croatia joined NATO, followed by Montenegro in 2017 and North Macedonia in 2020. Interestingly, despite Russia not wanting NATO to grow and especially not wanting Ukraine in NATO, Finland joined in 2023 and Sweden joined in 2024. Today, the world's politics are changing quickly. Russia was already upset with NATO's growth after the Cold War. That's why Putin didn't want Western countries near Russia's borders. When Ukraine wanted to join NATO, Russia responded by launching an invasion. NATO has been around for 76 years, but now its importance to America seems to be shrinking. Friedrich Merz, who is expected to become Germany's next chancellor, has said NATO might not survive much longer. We may soon see old alliances break apart and new ones form. Big countries will start making deals with each other, while smaller countries might face new challenges. Elon Musk, one of the richest and most powerful people in the world, has also spoken about NATO and the United Nations. Musk believes it's time for America to leave both NATO and the United Nations. Musk has questioned why American taxpayers should pay for most of Europe's defense costs. Instead, he suggested the money should be used to explore Mars. Musk thinks that Europe doesn't face any big threats and that NATO is no longer necessary. Trump also said he wanted to get rid of NATO, even during his election campaigns. So, with both Musk and Trump supporting America's exit from NATO, we're left asking, who will protect Europe if America leaves? Europe is already making plans in case this happens. Out of the 27 European Union countries, only France has nuclear weapons, because the UK is no longer part of the EU. But the UK would still be involved in European security matters. Several countries, like Germany, are discussing the idea of placing French nuclear weapons on their land. If America leaves NATO, France would probably become the main leader. This is something that French President Emmanuel Macron has wanted for a long time, leading Europe. Recently, Germany also showed interest in getting its own nuclear weapons. Reports say that France might send nuclear-equipped jets to Germany. But these plans are still early, as America hasn't yet left NATO. Still, Europe is getting ready for that change. With Trump growing closer to Russia, European countries are starting to worry more. They know they might not get the same help from America in the future. Right now, about 100,000 U.S. soldiers are stationed in Europe. Most of them are in Germany, with others in Italy, the UK, Poland, and Spain. These soldiers are a key part of Europe's defense. But Europe's real strength comes from America's nuclear weapons. During the Cold War, the US had more than 7,000 nuclear warheads stored across Europe. That number has gone down, but there are still some important US nuclear bases in Europe. Experts say there are still 6 American nuclear bases in Europe, located in Italy, Turkey, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. If Trump is re-elected, this could change. America has already made it clear that it doesn't want to keep spending money on military commitments that aren't needed. So, if America tells Europe to handle its own defense, can Europe manage? Right now, Europe has about 1 million soldiers. But without US troops, Europe would need to call up 300,000 more soldiers. The 100,000 US troops in Europe are highly trained and use the latest technology. To match that, Europe would need a lot more soldiers. Europe also doesn't have a single command system, unlike the US military, which works as one force. For example, NATO would need more than 1,400 tanks, 2,000 combat vehicles, and 700 artillery pieces to defend against a fast Russian attack in the Baltics. If the US takes its nuclear bases out of Europe, there will be a big security gap. While France and the UK have nuclear weapons, their arsenals are much smaller than America's. Building a strong nuclear force on its own will take time. In the short term, Europe can't replace America's military presence. But in the long run, with enough planning and money, Europe could become more independent in defense. One way to do this is by expanding national armies, but that would cost a lot more money. A better idea might be creating a unified European army with at least 200,000 extra soldiers. This would mean Europe would need to raise its defense spending from 2% to about 3.5% of GDP. Germany would need to increase its defense budget from 80 billion euros to 140 billion euros. For Europe to be safe, it must act together. A unified European army would be more effective with the same equipment instead of managing many different types of tanks and weapons. In the end, if America leaves NATO, Europe might form new alliances to stay safe. If you enjoyed this video and want more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.